Didac continues to help Isadora. Cruz comes out and tragedy strikes. Hello, entertainment enthusiasts. This is Ray, and this is the Fandom Realm. And today I'm reviewing episodes 3 and 4 of Elite Season 6. As always, this is a spoiler review, so just be warned. Episode 3 starts off with Isadora showing off the incriminating audio footage Didac captured to her lawyers. Unfortunately, it's not good enough. Given that it was possibly captured illegally, the confession can't really be used in court. They're going to have to find another way to get the guys to fess up. Isadora is not happy and storms off. Didac follows Isadora and decides to try to help her, determined to prove that he has her best interests at heart and wants to try to do right by her. He really does seem to be into her and wanting to prove that to her. Isadora is silent and eventually slams the door shut. Following Cruz's brave press conference in the last episode where he came out, Yvonne shows his father a new tattoo that he has got. The tattoo is the number 9 and it's on sort of the front part of his hip area, and his father is very emotional about this. While they get along well, Sarah is struggling at school. That video she initially uploaded has been deleted off the back of her argument with Raul, and it throws Ari into a confused state, determined to find out the truth. Of course, if you remember, Sarah had uploaded the video of talking about what happened to Isadora. Questioning Sarah outright doesn't help much, although her shifty attitude sparks Mencia to confront her and see through the facade, telling Sarah that deep down she knows that she's seen the light and supports Isadora. Unfortunately, when Sarah receives a call from Raul, her character changes immediately and she leaves quickly. In fact, Mencia follows and manages to convince Raul to let Sarah out for the night to hang out at Isadora's club. Cruz's good mood is shattered when he receives an unwelcome gift at the front door. There's a mannequin strung up from the roof with the word queer on the front. It's a threat that Cruz does not want Yvonne to know. Patrick actually walked in and learned about it, and Cruz wants Patrick to keep it quiet from Yvonne, and of course Patrick had just told Yvonne that he wasn't going to keep any more secrets from him. Isadora's friends rally around her that night, deciding to smoke weed and enjoy each other's company. There's also drinks. They get Bilal to come in as well. He brought their drinks in. He's uneasy with this group. He's actually not wanting to come in and party. He's uneasy with that. He's Isadora's worker, but he is eventually going to come in and join them. Bilal speaks to Ari, observing how much alcohol they all drink in Spain. Ari immediately teases his demeanor, claiming he's trying to hit on her, when everyone strips down and starts dancing. Basically what happens here is it's suggested that they've got to be comfortable with their bodies, so they all strip down to their underwear. Nico notices Ari staring at Bilal's lower portions through his underwear and is jealous, eventually getting dressed and leaving. Ari follows, and Nico admits that her being there is pissing him off. Nico wants Ari to leave him alone and arrived as a way of getting away from her. He admits he's fallen for her, but given she's a transphobe, he finds himself conflicted. The pair end up fighting, airing out their issues before Ari rushes off with Bilal and they start kissing, leading to a whole lot more. Meanwhile, Mencia notices a bruise on Sarah's arm, right where no one is likely to see it. She shrugs it off as if she banged it on a table, but it seems that there's more going on. As Sarah and Mencia dance, Raul suddenly comes bursting in the apartment, angry at his girlfriend. Sarah quickly grabs her clothes and items, and she's going to leave, but it immediately kills the mood in the room, as Mencia admits she's not happy with the way he spoke to her. With the VI party a bit of a bust, everything kicks off on the dance floor. Yvonne fights with Yavi, Patrick and Cruz get involved, while random people end up filming the big fight. When they leave, Isadora puts her big plan into action, determined to get back at her rapists. She's going to spike their drinks. She's going to get some help from the other girls, and they're going to end up spiking the guys' drinks, and they do that in full view. And this episode is going to end. Now, moving on to episode 4, we're going to come into this episode with a lot of drama because it starts with a funeral. Everybody guesses that it's Yvonne's Cruz's funeral, because if you remember back, we know that Yvonne at some point in the series, in this season, gets hit by a car, but we don't know his fate. This opening tends to push the idea that Yvonne has died. It's a brief scene. Patrick and Ari are watching from afar when they jump straight back to Cruz's house, where Patrick and Yvonne are together kissing. Cruz is on the move, though, as he's got a big football match to compete in. The boys call it a historic moment, but he downplays the event. Of course, after his death threats, Cruz is not taking any chances, and what better way to prepare than to have a glass of whiskey. However, as he sits down, someone throws a rock at the window wrapped around his team shirt. Cruz's name is crossed out with Homo replacing it. Meanwhile, Raul apologizes for his behavior to Sarah and decides they need to stay away from toxic people in the future. At school, that toxicity only spreads, as everyone watches Raul be super protective over Sarah and prevent her from seeing the others. However, there's a more toxic incident to contend with: the rapist branding. Now, we didn't talk about this, we actually didn't see this, but what's going to happen is we're going to have a situation where last episode we talked about the guys getting drugged, or at least two of the guys getting drugged, Hugo and Alex. Well, they're going to realize they're talking to each other, they're realizing their backs hurt and are sore, and when they take their shirts off, the rapist is on their back. It's been tattooed. And so Hugo and Alex claim they've been assaulted, but Yavi seems like he could snap at any moment. The others know this and decide to deflect the attention away, wanting to pin all of it on Yvonne. Mencia notices Sarah's bruises in the locker room and decides to try and help her. Although she asks Ari for advice, Ari doesn't seem really all that bothered, point out that Sarah blocked Mencia on social media. As far as Ari is concerned, Sarah has made her bed and she should sleep in it now. The big event this time around, though, comes from the football stadium. All of our characters are going to arrive at this football stadium to watch Cruz play, with a whole bunch of fans arriving with pride flags and celebrating pride and the fact that Cruz has come out as gay and there's a gay football player. Nico is there too, and after an earlier incident in the bathrooms at school, struggling to adjust to the urinals, he takes Rocchio's advice on how to handle Ari. Rocchio had earlier warned Nico to stay away from her, claiming she's just going to look at him as another conquest and get rid of him quickly once she's had him. Nico's actually going to make a dig at Ari about having sex and what she actually wants, because he remembers her interest in Bilal and what he was able to do. Unfortunately, Nico gets a drink splashed in his face for his troubles. As the match gets underway, Cruz scores and a whole load of violence breaks out in the crowd. As a result, the refs call the game and everything's going to end on a sour note. As our folks return home, Mencia speaks to Sarah in confidence and tries to make her see reason. She points out that love shouldn't hurt this much and he certainly shouldn't be physically abusive towards her. Raul rings and demands to see the living room to make sure she's alone, prompting Mencia to duck for cover behind the sofa. Raul tells Sarah he's coming home, and when he hangs up, Mencia encourages Sarah to come and see her if she wants a way out. Outside the football stadium, the violence continues, with flare-ups and rioters surrounding the team bus. As police struggle to get it under control, Molotov cocktails are thrown towards the bus. Bilal also takes a bottle to the face, while Cruz makes it home in one piece, but looking the worse for wear after what has happened. Now, going back to Bilal for just a second, he was actually came up and some of the protesters were getting ready to hit, I think it was Yvonne, and Bilal came in and actually got hit in the face instead. When Raul finally heads home, he finds the place in a mess and completely empty. Sarah has packed her bags and left, leaving Raul mad and unsure about what to do. It's a triumphant moment, and seeing her head over to Mencia's is a very good part of this episode. Unfortunately, we're going to get to the point and learn who has actually been killed and whose funeral it was. And what we're going to see is Cruz gets jumped by several thugs who beat him to a bloody pulp and leave him lying motionless on the street. Ivan and Patrick are going to arrive at Cruz's house, and they're going to hurry to his side, but we're going to flash to the coffin and the funeral home, and we're going to see that Yvonne is alive, and actually it's Cruz who has died. And so this is a huge turn of events in season 6, episode 4. Now that we've finished the recap, I do just want to go through and give a few thoughts and reactions to these episodes combined. And the first big thing is just this whole idea of the rapists getting tattooed. I thought this was a little bit brutal for a television show. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this happen when there's been a rape or an assault or anything like this. It's definitely something new. Nobody was going to be expecting that to happen. I did think it was all just sort of bleached over a little bit because I don't remember the guys that did the raping, their names, but the one said how much he had to pay to get it taken off. They didn't make it quite clear on if he actually had it taken off yet, which it just happened last night. I don't see how they would have been able to get it taken off in that amount of time. As I understand it, I don't have any tattoos, but it takes longer than that. Also, the fact that they were able to be so easily drugged, it's all a little bit soapish for me. But of course, Elite is basically just a big Spanish soap opera. But I am glad Isadora is getting some revenge on these guys. And I really like the fact that Didac really sort of seems to be in love with her and is trying to do things to help her after what transpired earlier in the season when he didn't trust her at first. Now, the other big thing to just comment on here is I was really impressed that they pulled off this football match in this show. I thought it was a big set of scenes to film and to pull off. I thought they did a pretty good job with it. It did look a little cheesy at times with parts of the crowd and the soccer that was taking place or the football that was taking place, but I really appreciate that they tried to add something to this season that was a little different than what we've seen before. I think they had a very good portrayal of sort of what happens in some of these games when there are, people who might be gay, people who might be minorities, and what happens at football matches like that. And that's sometimes things are just taking way out there, like all the rioting and everything. I mean, they really stepped it up on the rioting, especially. Of course, along with that, the really big thing that happened in these two episodes combined was the death of Cruz. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think anybody ever saw that happening. It seemed like Yvonne was starting to get along with his dad a little better. It seems like Patrick and Yvonne and Cruz were okay. And so it sort of came out of nowhere, to be quite honest. But it's nice to have surprises in shows like this that can be very repetitive sometimes. I still have to ask, though, would those kicks really have ended up killing Cruz? I don't know. Does getting hit by the car kill Yvonne? Okay, we're still yet to see on that. Now, not a lot to say on the other relationships. We didn't get to see much growth with Patrick and Yvonne actually in this episode. We actually, we have Nico and Ari. They just keep going back and forth. Ari doesn't know what to do. Nico he sort of doesn't really know what to do either, and they're just not getting each other. I do like Isadora and Didac. I hope by the end of the series or end of the season, they do end up getting together, but we'll have to see what happens with that. Now, with all that said, with all that being said and done, let's give a grade to season 6, episodes 3 and 4. And I'm going to give this grade together, and I'm going to give it a B-. While this season so far has been much better than last season, especially, it just seems to not have that same edge that the previous seasons of Elite have had. And I think part of that is due to just having these new characters, and we haven't gotten to get used to them. And, they're trying to build their backstories. They're trying to fit them into this world. And we still haven't gotten over the characters who have left in the past. And so with all that, I'm going to give it a B minus. It's okay. It's average. It's a little above average. And part of that is because of episode number 4. I would actually say episode 3 probably would have been a C, but episode 4, especially because of the big reveal, got us up to a B minus for the episode. Now, with that, I hope you enjoyed the review. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment below. And I'll see you next time on the Fandom Realm.